How do people get rich? Now, I'm sure that's a question you've asked yourself at one point in time or another. If you haven't personally asked yourself, maybe you had this conversation with a family member or a friend. How do people get rich? That is the topic that we're here to discuss today. I'm Nicole from The Simple Dollar, and today specifically, we are here to talk about how to get rich, 10 ways to create wealth. If you've never heard of The Simple Dollar, it is one of the top personal finance blogs around. There are thousands of articles up on The Simple Dollar site that are here to help you take charge of your finances once and for all. So be sure to check out the links in the description to get started. So back to the topic of today's video. There are a ton of misconceptions around how to get rich. Part of it is that a lot of people think that you have to already be rich to become more wealthy, or you have to have a rich relative that leaves you a huge inheritance. Simply not true. Although there are some people that get rich that way, that is not the way it will happen for the vast majority of us. In fact, there are just a few simple ingredients that you need in order to achieve wealth. First, you need hard work. Hard work is very, very important on the journey to become wealthy. In addition, you need smart work, you need self-control, you need patience. I can't underscore the importance of having patience on this journey to building wealth. And you also need time. Time is one of your greatest resources, one of your greatest assets on the journey to becoming wealthy. It's also critical that we learn how to accept responsibility for our life choices. Some of those choices are going to be good, some not so much. Some are going to be bad choices, but it's important to accept responsibility nonetheless. And don't be afraid to embrace the challenges that come along with your current situation. Maybe you feel like you're not in the ideal place to achieve wealth, but embrace that and realize that no matter where you are, you can always do things to push you a little bit further along on your journey to becoming wealthy. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about 10 ways to create wealth starting today. Principle number 1 is to cut personal spending and control lifestyle inflation. Now, on the surface, that may seem very easy and very simple to do. But the truth of the matter is that many Americans fail in this area. Specifically, 76% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. In order to break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to be necessary to spend less than you earn. In order to get started with that, it's very important to start cutting the bottom 10% of your expenditures in your household. Now, the bottom 10% of your expenditures can be things that don't really matter very much to you. It's not going to be fun budgeting if you are cutting all of the things that are important to you in your life. So it's important to start cutting the things that are not as important to you. If you're able to make your own coffee at home and it tastes just as good as getting your coffee on the go, then do that. And the additional savings that you recoup, you can use that to pay down high interest debt, to start saving more, to invest, and to ultimately break that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck so that you can create wealth. Now, I can already hear the wheels turning in your mind. What if you're in a place financially where you are not able to reduce or cut your spending any lower? If you find yourself in that particular situation, one of the best things that you can do is to keep your spending even while you take advantage of increases in your income. Most of us are going to get some sort of raise or increase on our jobs at some point in time. So if we make the commitment to keeping our spending even and take advantage of those raises as they come along, we can then use that money to save more, invest more, and to pay down high interest debts. And ultimately, that allows you to create wealth. That leads me right into principle number 2. Principle number 2 is to work hard to maximize your income. So essentially, this is the other half of the spend less than you earn formula. The more income you earn, not only are those additional resources that you have to live off of, but that also allows you to up level in those other areas of wealth creation, like investing as well as saving. So how exactly do you accomplish this? And I'm so glad that you had the foresight to ask that question because I have an answer for you. You can focus on your current career for starters. That's a great natural place to start to grow exactly where you are currently planted. Make it a personal and professional goal to outperform those around you, to make yourself a valuable member of your team at work so that you can become eligible for those promotions and raises, and as such, increase your level of income. At the same time, while you are advancing in your career, you might want to start dabbling in the area of entrepreneurship. It may be a small business or a side hustle idea that you have had on your mind for some time, but now you can take advantage of those spare moments to begin to develop those ideas. A side business could be very lucrative. It could allow you to indulge in those passion projects while also creating new opportunities to make more money. And you absolutely never know what those opportunities are going to turn into. That side hustle or a small business or passion project could eventually become your full-time gig. And if you pair that additional income with a commitment to not elevating your lifestyle, you'll have tons of leftover money to accomplish your other financial goals. Principle number 3 is to pay down high interest debt. One of the first things that I recommend that anyone do with all of that leftover money that you've now started to earn and accrue is to tackle high interest debt. If you happen to be curious about what exactly qualifies as high interest debt, it is anything that is accruing interest at a rate of 8% annually or more. Absolutely no investment can routinely beat the return of tackling high interest debt first. To pay down debt strategically, I recommend the debt fireball. The debt fireball is where you make the minimum payment on all other debts, and then you take every extra dollar that you have and throw it towards the debt that has the largest interest rate. And before you know it, you'll look up and that particular debt will be toast, and then you'll be able to move forward with the next debt on the list. Principle number 4 is to use tax advantage accounts for investing. One of the first strategies for becoming rich is taking advantage of tax advantage accounts like your 401k, 403b, or your Roth IRA. The goal here is to minimize the amount of money that you're paying out in taxes, legally of course, and also just to do the things that the government is encouraging us to do with our money, like save for retirement. With accounts like your 401k or your 403b, your workplace accounts, you contribute to that account with money that is pre-tax, so you don't pay taxes on any of the dollars that you contribute throughout the year. Now your Roth IRA works the opposite way. You contribute to your Roth IRA with post-tax dollars, which means that the taxes have already been taken out through your income, and then that money continues to grow in your accounts throughout the years, and you don't pay any taxes when you start to take that money out in retirement, not even on the gains. 2 additional accounts that you may want to take advantage of are your 529 plans as well as health savings accounts. With the 529 plan, those serve as higher education plans for your kids if you have them, and that money can be used to fund higher education costs somewhere down the line. And with the health savings account, you can use the money that you've contributed to cover the cost of co-pays and or deductibles. These additional accounts also have different types of tax advantages attached to them, so definitely take advantage of these so that you can keep as much of your money in your pockets as possible and lower your tax bill. Principle number 5 is to take advantage of free money. Many of you have jobs where your employers offer a match for your 401k or 403b contributions, and that is free money that you do not want to leave on the table. This is essentially a free boost to your salary and an additional way that you can take advantage of your workplace accounts. Principle number 6 is to reinvest dividends and other investment income. If you have followed the plan up until this point and implemented the first 5 principles that we have talked about, you are now likely debt-free and you have substantially more money than you had at the start of your journey to now create major wealth in your life. This is the exact financial position that you want to be in to begin building real and lasting wealth. And the great news is that this is a level of financial success that most Americans will be able to attain. So now you may be asking yourself the question, what should I be investing in? You may take an opportunity to invest in real estate and maybe get a couple of rental properties that will then in turn create some passive income through the rent that you will collect from your tenants. Other people may be more comfortable with investing in the stock market, buying individual stocks, and or opening up a taxable brokerage account and investing in something like index funds. Another way of investing that a lot of people don't think about in terms of it being investing is simply investing in yourself. That may mean going back to school to get a graduate degree or advancing your education, getting an additional training or certification that will make you more marketable, which will then in turn increase your income even more. The best part of this is that you don't have to pick just one. You could have a rental property, you could invest in the stock market, and you could invest in yourself all at the same time. The goal here ultimately is to create your investment snowball. That is where you are starting to reinvest those additional dollars that are coming in at a much faster pace than you initially thought. Principle number 7 is to hold your investments for a while. This is not a flash in the pan. This is not something that we want to do in the short term, but in order to build lasting wealth, we are holding our investments for the long term. One of the greatest advantages of holding on to your assets and your investments is that you can minimize your tax burden. When you sell an asset like a stock or a rental property, ultimately you will have to pay capital gains tax. Capital gains tax can then be broken down into 2 additional types of tax: short-term capital gains tax and long-term capital gains tax. The exact tax rate on each will vary depending on the situation, but the thing that you want to know here is that long-term capital gains tax is virtually always lower than short-term capital gains tax. You become eligible to pay the long-term tax rate when you hold your assets for a long time. Simply holding onto your investments for a while means that when you do sell them to collect the profits for the increase in value, you'll get to pay a lower tax rate on that money. This is how the government encourages people to hold onto their investments for the long term. Not only is it completely legal, but it also helps the economy grow over time as well. Principle number 8 is to hold your investments forever. Of course, on the other side of the coin of holding your investments for a while is potentially holding on to them forever. Who says that you actually have to sell? It is possible to still make money off those investments without actually selling them. A good example of this is buying a stock that has a dividend attached to it. And not only are you holding onto the stock, which will increase in value over time, but you are also taking advantage of those quarterly or monthly or annual dividends that company pays out on a regular basis. A great example of a very stable dividend stock is something like Coca-Cola, which is one of Warren Buffett's favorites. When buying shares of a company that is very stable and produces a great dividend, the intent may be to hold those shares forever for the long term and just reinvest those dividends as they roll in. The same principle also applies to a rental property. That is potentially a one-time purchase that will continue to earn you income over time through rent that you collect from your tenants, and then you could take the money that comes in from the rent and reinvest it. This is how many people go about achieving financial independence. They have enough passive income coming in that they never have to actively trade their time for dollars anymore. A financially independent person has the ability to live entirely off of their passive income. Some people will choose to retire right then at that point. Other people just happen to love what they do and love the business maybe that they have built, and they want to continue doing the work that is important to them. If you've been keeping track up until this point, we have covered numbers 1 through 8, and that brings us to our last 2 principles for creating wealth. Number 9 is to invest in yourself. Now, investing in yourself is a little more abstract, and a lot of times people overlook it as an opportunity for growth. Investing in yourself may look like obtaining another college degree, a master's degree, or some other advanced education, or maybe it's simply going to workshops, attending conferences, and getting a new skill set that will make you more competitive and more marketable in your particular field. The goal of investing in yourself is to improve your confidence and to improve your skill set. Using these newfound elements in your life will allow you to maximize your earning potential and accelerate your goals even more. And then finally, that brings us to principle number 10, which is to invest your windfalls. Sometimes life will just dump a random pot of cash into your lap. Wouldn't that be nice? I know I would like that. Maybe you win a big prize or receive an inheritance, or maybe you get a big bonus that you did not initially account for or expect. Whatever the windfall is, you suddenly and unexpectedly find yourself with more cash on hand, and that is an opportunity to then use to build wealth. What you don't want to do in this situation is use it as an opportunity to simply splurge or to now live above your means. Just remember that all along this financial spectrum, we are still maintaining the position that we are not going to elevate our lifestyles unnecessarily. Instead, take the opportunity to use that windfall money to invest in another rental property or to put into the stock market. Or if you're in the place where you are still paying off debt, use it to accelerate your debt fireball. A windfall is a great thing, but it can quickly be wasted if you're not careful. So don't let that happen to you. If a windfall happens to fall into your lap, Remember to use it smartly. I hope that this video has resonated with you and you now have clarity on how to create wealth in your own life. Please like this video and subscribe, and also don't forget to check out the video description box for tons of amazing resources to get you started wherever you are on your financial journey. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.